Now let's bring in NewsNation legal contributor Jesse Weber and retired FBI special agent and profiler Jim Clemente. Jim, as someone who has spent a career studying human behavior, I want to ask you what I've got to imagine millions of Americans are asking tonight. What is going on?
Well, Elizabeth, I believe that people act to their extremes when they're stressed. And I think the fact that this crosses all sorts of racial and economic and social backgrounds, I think it is indicative of mass anxiety and mass PTSD because of the pandemic, the economic crisis, the riots and demonstrations of 2020. All these things are cumulative. And I think they have now caused people in the United States to be so extremely elevated in terms of anxiety and stress that it's so easy to get them over the hump of committing violent acts.
And obviously so reactive. Jesse, in this case, we have different jurisdictions, we have different laws, we have, different, in any of these cases, could any of these people who did these shootings make any kind of argument at all for self-defense or stand your ground?
Let's be very clear. All of these cases are very, very bad. I was struggling to find justification in each one of them. Out of all of them, though, I will point out the one in Missouri. This is the Ralph Yarl situation,
right.
Okay?
This is the young teenager who went to pick up his twin brothers, went to the wrong door, knocked on the door, and waited.
Correct.
And was shot through the storm door.
By an elderly gentleman, and here's the interesting thing about that. So the argument I would frame, if I was his defense attorney, would say this is late at night, he's an older gentleman, there was somebody on his property. You can argue whether or not it's his home, it's his porch. There was a portion where his hand, Mr. Yarl's hand, was on a portion of his property. Now, no words were exchanged. You could say he maybe was in fear of his life. I think it's a stretch, because here's the other way of looking at it. He fires not once, he fires twice, including once when he's on the ground, and then makes a comment right afterwards, allegedly saying, "Don't come back here." That would be a sign, how much were you in fear of your life? The reason I'm picking that case is because the other ones, shooting two cheerleaders while they exited your car.
After they've gotten out of your car.
After they got out of the car, shooting a 6-year-old, opening fire for what reason in the upstate New York when somebody is in your driveway and turning around. I'm having struggle justifying any of those. That's the only case I think there could be an argument, because there is a stand your ground law in place there.
Jim, you can see from the GoFundMe pages set up in several of these cases, the street protests, the news conferences from law enforcement to grieving or outraged family members. Everybody's struggling to make sense of this and having a difficult time doing it.
Well, it doesn't make much sense. I mean, obviously, when you have people that are already on edge, and I think our entire society is on edge because of the cumulative effect of all these things that have happened over the past few years. And I believe that we need to start listening to people who have different viewpoints. We need to build rapport with people. We need to get these people de-stressed so that they're not going to act as extremely as we've seen them act right now.
Jesse, I think the thing that strikes me the most is all these mistakes that triggered these shootings are mistakes that everybody's made. I've made. Yep. I've gone to the wrong door. I've climbed in the wrong car. God knows how many times I've pulled into the wrong driveway. Anybody, I think that's what makes this so unsettling.
So sometimes in the law we say, what could have been done to prevent this? There's nothing that could have been done. I'm reminded of the Botham Jean case, where there was this person, a guy minding his own business in his apartment one night. An officer comes home thinking it's her apartment. She goes in there and opens fire on him. She's ultimately convicted of murder. There was nothing he could have done in those situations. There's nothing any of them done. People make mistakes.
Right.
And so the question is, what is the solution? Is it immediately attacking stand your ground laws? I would say not necessarily, because all of these people are going to have to face justice. I think these are all really bad cases, and if I had to guess, they're going to be convicted. Wow. But at the end of the day, you have lost life, and what's the solution? I don't have the answer, Elizabeth.
There. All right. Wow. All right, Jesse, stand by. Jim Clemente, thanks so much for being here tonight. Hope you'll come back. It's good to see you again.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider, and don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.